Yeah, this video totally piqued my interest, guys. Let's check it out.
Well, in 2021, Elon hosted Saturday Night Live, and he mentioned that he has Asperger's, which is a type of autism.
Yeah.
Were you aware of this at all? And has he actually been diagnosed with Asperger's, or this is just a self-diagnosis?
Well, I don't know if he had some sort of diagnosis, but as a young boy, it's not only him, it's me and my brother, a couple of the people in the family are a bit like that. Once we focus on something, it's difficult to get our attention. And so we sort of cut the world out. He was very much like that. And when he was in grade two, I think he also called it grade two. When he was in grade two, he was about 8 or something, 7 years or 8 years old.
In a second grade.
The headmaster of the school phoned me and said he needs to see me. So I realized, oh boy, it's about Elon. Elon had this knack of telling older people who queried anything he was doing, because he would often read books that were very thick, and adults might say to him, what, are you reading that? Or don't you look at the pictures or something? And then he'd say to the adult, well, no, of course not, stupid. I read this book, I had to sort of
Elon was a little bit cheeky.
discipline him a bit on that kind of thing. Anyway, I thought, oh my God, he's told the teacher's stupid or something. So I went to the school, with trepidation. And when I went into the headmaster's office, there was...
I can't imagine a situation where you as a parent have to go to school for Elon Musk, but apparently Elon Musk is not an alien. He was a human being, an 80-year-old, 70-year-old human being.
This older lady, I think she was obviously the teacher, wringing her hands, and looking terribly unhappy. And the headmaster was...
By the way, this is like my experience in school. I did nothing wrong ever, but they always, I somehow got into a trouble, and then I was the center point of everything.
Very good man. And I sat down and I said, what is the problem? And he said to me, it was, of course, what year would that have been? About 1979 or somewhere there, or something to that effect. I mean, they didn't mince words in those days. He said to me, your son is retarded. We think your son is retarded. So I thought, oh, wow. I was glad he wasn't.
I was glad. Come on, man. All right. Your son is retarded. Oh, I'm glad. Oh, God. You couldn't make that shit up. Hey, your son is retarded. The principal of the school, I mean...
And saying something else. Anyway, of course, I knew Elon wasn't retarded. So I said, well, why? Why do you say that? And they said, well, and then the teacher took over and she said, well, yesterday, again, he sits and stares out of the window while everybody's taking note in the class. The other kids are taking note. He sits and stares out of the window. A very leafy suburb that we lived in. And
actually, I did the same thing in a school as a 6-year-old in the first grade, actually, not in the second or third. I did other shit in the second and third. I went to the bathroom and never come back. But yeah, that's I have that experience of teachers and other kids thinking of me I'm pretty weird and unusual because I just stood up and stared out of the window. I knew what I was doing.
And she said nothing she does gets his attention. And she actually went up to him, as she explained, and she would pushed him on the shoulder before he would jump around and look at her. And then she said, what? He asked him, why? What are you doing? And he said, look, the trees are getting green, or they're all getting leaves, or something to that effect. So I thought, well, that's a reasonable. I didn't see anything wrong with that, but they figured.
It's an interesting thing, right? As a child is observing the world around it and taking notes. I wouldn't say that's anything unusual. I mean, it's, for the most part, it's weird that people find that weird, in my opinion, and found that weird, and they continue to do so because you are suddenly outside the norm. But in general, bringing 20, 30 kids into one class and making them sit down and just listen and learn. I understand when they need to learn to read and learn to write and all that basic stuff. But even that can be managed in probably a better environment. What you guys think? Let's continue to listen.
Figured there's something wrong with him. And of course, that ties in with a certain amount of, I suppose you could call it a sort of autism. Today, for example,
I would say he's more like a ADHD kind of kid at that moment. He can grow out of it or anything, but he has like a hyper attention kind of deficit. You can call it deficit, but he's putting his attention where his interests are, which is something I have as well, but I have other problems, which prevents me from being Elon Musk probably. But he looks like more like an ADHD, maybe Asperger. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I'm just really interested in that subject. So he's definitely turned it into a hyper focus kind of thing where he can focus for a very long extended period of time, so something that he finds interesting or brings him some sort of value, I guess.
With Elon, even today, it's quite a handy thing. It's very difficult to actually upset Elon because you can often say something to him which is rude and it just bounces off him. He doesn't even listen. It doesn't penetrate. It's a sort of handy trick to have. Anyway, the thing is...
that is pretty good thing to have. But on the other hand, he's probably also able to tell people things that other would deem uncomfortable to say to others, I would say. It can work that way. And in his position as the CEO of multiple companies, I'm sure that he's very common. It's not uncommon for him to be able to tell people straight in the face things that are uncomfortable and just.
What I did was I went back. I said at that meeting with the headmaster, I wasn't sure what to say, and then finally we were all wondering what are we going to do, and then the headmaster said perhaps he can't hear properly. So we all jumped on that. I jumped on that. Oh yes, I'll take you for hearing tests the next day, which I did, and of course there's nothing wrong with.
Yeah, I mean that's a good. It's a good assumption from the headmaster that he doesn't hear properly, but a lot of kids don't, but they develop speech problems and speech deficits, and they don't speak normally if they have hearing problems. So it was more like maybe the headmaster realized, maybe telling that Elon is retarded is not the best tactic, and he pedaled on it a little bit.
With his hearing. And I moved into another school, a private school. That was a government school.
That was exactly, I don't want to draw any parallels between me and Elon Musk because we are not alike, right? But I had exactly the same experience. My parents were brought to school and they were told that I'm weird. And then I had to be transferred to a private school, and then my education went perfectly fine, but I had to have that special kind of approach, I guess, which is interesting seeing that with Elon as well.
It was a very good government school, but I moved him to a private school.
I think kids nowadays, it makes me wonder, I have this experience that I'm probably a lot of kids that have the same experience. There are people who are easy to adjust to this kind of environment, and maybe there are kids who are perfectly normal, but they just don't respond to this archaic. One could call it archaic. One could call it traditional, or just our way how we teach young kids. And I don't think that any kid, to be honest, out of those, even those that they adjust well, they go they adjust well. You would say they are perfectly normal kids. They go to school. They don't go out of line. Even those kids, I can vouch. I'm sure they don't want to be at school. Really, they want to learn. Of course, every kid wants, but they want to learn through something else, and they need attention. Like kids need attention. Maybe, yeah, kids definitely needs attention, and maybe that's the biggest problem there. There are 40, 30, 40 kids sometimes, sometimes it's less, but even 25, 30, 23 kids is too much. And they don't get the proper attention to develop, even though there's nothing bad with them, but they just need that attention.
We never had any more problems. But he is someone that would probably qualify for a certain amount of an inability to, or rather the other way around, that once he gets focused on something, you don't easily get him distracted. If you know what I mean, he will.
I think we can cut it off there. That's amazing ability to have. I have the other problem. I get really easily distracted, even though that I want to focus on something else. My brain is craving the dopamine, that you don't get really from starting working on your long-term goals, and you get easily distracted by other things, right? Especially nowadays, social media, it's very distracting, and it's amazing to hear that Elon Musk. It's an interesting point of view, or interesting story. He came out and said that he has Asperger. I don't know what's really the reporter there or the interviewer. He's asking if it's self-diagnosed. We don't know that, but Elon Musk has access to the best medical people out there. The best doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists. So he can get his diagnosis. He can understand himself better through that, and if he says that, difficult to tell, right? Because Elon Musk has been lying about things. Has been lying about his path of exile merits. So it's difficult, He's definitely someone who wants to be seen as somebody who is capable of extraordinary things and in all facets of life that he finds important. And if as a nerd, he definitely wanted to be seen as a pro gamer, even though that he's so busy, running companies, but he still can have that time. So this was just a marketing stunt that just went really, really horribly wrong, and he's been lying to us. That's the bottom line. And if you are pulling these kinds of tricks, you need to be then able to face the consequences of your reputation suffering a little bit. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. What do you think about the education system in America or in Europe, or regardless from where you are? In my opinion, it's archaic. What do you think? And what do you think about about this video? What do you think about Elon Musk, the wealthiest man in the world, and probably one of the most influential, if not the most influential person in the world, being labeled retarded as a child by his teachers and the school principal? Let me know. Like and subscribe. See ya. Did I say like and subscribe? Like and subscribe.